What's up guys, it's Craft Phoenix back with another video today, and today the Q&A is upon us. So today is May 24th and we are doing part 1 of the Q&A. This is going to be the reptile. So if you left a question back on the 3rd day of May or 4th day of May with questions related to reptiles, this is where they're going to be. Now some of those actually ended up in miscellaneous if you ask multiple questions, but most of them will be here, so please stay tuned. Now, if you see me looking down, like if I'm on camera and I'm looking down there, that's where my computer is, and that's where all your questions and everything are. Alright, so I've decided that I'm not going to incorporate the picture screen capture of everybody's comments, just because it's probably going to be, I'm going to predict it now while filming 30 to 40 minute video right now. So it's going to be a long one, and I don't want to take the time and rendering power to have to add all those pictures. Alright, so the first question is from Connor Finn, and it says, why don't you breed Cresties? And that is a pretty simple question to answer. I'm glad we started off on a light note. Honestly, I don't breed Cresties because they're so popular that there's not really any market for them. Like a typical run-of-the-mill kind of plain-ish, even to fancy crested geckos, you'll be able to sell for the most of $100. Typically you'll end up just I have way too many babies, I need to get rid of them, and sell them to a pet store of some kind for $20 a pop, something like that. So realistically, I'm not into them enough to breed them. I don't like them enough. It's not that I don't like them, it's just that I don't think I want to work with them, if that makes sense. So that's why I don't breed Cresties. The next question is from Carly Joe. How can you afford all of your equipment and plants and everything? I only have 2 frog tanks, and wow, it's expensive. How old were you when you started this hobby, and what or who inspired you? So I'll start off with the second one. I know this is going to be asked several times over the course of the video, so I'm probably just going to refer back to this one. But so who inspired me to get into reptiles? The biggest influence on me was probably Steve Irwin, and in a way, my parents. And there's a couple reasons for that. Steve Irwin, I'm sure for my generation, if you're 24, 25 to I don't know, 18 maybe, then you probably have seen Steve Irwin and know who he is, and you could know that he is a hell of an influence. He was one of the most inspiring people that I've ever seen. I've never had the pleasure to meet him, but he was somebody that just through the TV you could feel his energy, you could feel his wit, you could feel his love and passion for animals and reptiles in particular. So that's who really kicked me off. Now, my parents, like I said earlier, basically just supplied me since I was a young, really young age, dinosaur books. And when I was 3 years old, I knew the names, the phonetic way of saying it, of most of the dinosaurs. I could say their names and what they are, and I could point them out. My mom would ask me oh, what's that? And I'd name off the dinosaur. So it's pretty crazy, and I feel that's definitely played a big role in how I've developed my love and passion for reptiles in particular. Now, how do I afford everything? In the beginning, it was mostly my parents. I was too young. I was 8 years old when I got my first reptile, 8 or 9. So there's not too many 8 or 9-year-olds dropping, I don't know how expensive it was to get his cage, but to get Striker's cage. But since the age of about 14, 15, when I actually started working, I've mostly paid for it all myself. The only things that my parents pay for is the electricity. I have no idea how much it is, but I imagine it's quite substantial. And up until about a year ago, the crickets. So that's the honest answer. I'm not going to lie to you guys and say that I paid for all of it forever. But now I'm pretty much self-sustaining. I buy all my equipment now. I buy all my cages. I buy light bulbs, I buy food, I buy pretty much everything. So I do work at a pet store right now, so I do get a discount there on pretty much everything, and I do work. That's how I sustain it. So we have two here. This is from And101 Red. And he says, first off, who would you say influenced you the most besides the obvious answer, parents, Steve Irwin, Brian from Snake Bites TV, to keep studying and enjoying animals, more specifically reptiles and amphibians? Honestly, my friends. Now, my good group of solid buddies that I hang out with all the time are not really reptile guys. They had leopard geckos, but now they go to university, so they had to sell those. But I would have to say my buddy Cody, which you guys did say you wanted to see his snake room. He's been moving a couple times since I've said that, so when he's ready, I will have a video of his snake room. Mark my words. But honestly, it was probably him, and then while I worked at Petland, it was Grant and Daniel, my two buddies from there. They were always egging me on, and I'm one of those people that get very, very obsessive about things when they find new things to, like, dive into. I read all the forums, I go online, I'll look at, like, scientific papers if it has to. A lot of different things. I spend countless hours researching new things, and that's just what happens. So I'm almost self-driven, like it's a self-destructing, like, information overload? I don't know. Yeah, like I'll see it in somebody's video. Recently it's actually been plants. To be completely honest, like the only reptile shows that I've been watching is like Camp Kennan, Snake Bites TV, and that's pretty much it. Like I don't actually watch a whole ton of reptile YouTube videos. Yeah, so that's kind of who keeps me in this hobby. I don't really have much else to say about it. He did have a second one right after. He said, sorry, another question, but what are your pet peeves besides people spamming you on YouTube? I really hate being told what to do. And that's not like in a work sense, like, hey, you have to do this. It's like, okay, I get it. I'm here to work. But when people try and tell me not to do things, I tend to do the opposite. Like, almost to spite them, not all the time, but it's like, well, fuck you. That's kind of what I want to do, so I'm going to do it. And that's one thing that kind of bothers me. I don't know. I'm a very, like, relaxed guy. I don't get too upset about really anything. The next question we have is Billy Jarvis saying, why do you not have any snakes and what species of snake? I assume you mean like what species of snake would you want if I had it? This is going to address all those questions I have about, oh, why don't you have a snake? Why don't you have a snake? You should get a snake. This, that, the other thing, like you should get a snake. What would you have if you had a snake? I assume that's what he's asking. Why I don't have any snakes? My parents. They just don't like snakes. I don't know why. I don't think they've really, like, given it a shot. But neither of them. It's just like, when I was 8 or 9 years old, I researched ball pythons for a long time. And ever since I first mentioned it, they just said, no snake is entering this house. When I move out, I do plan to get snakes. Now, what snakes do I plan to get? I'm very happy with the lizards and frogs that I have. I don't think I get a lot of snakes. Like, I might have a snake or a couple snakes. But, like, the snakes that I would get would be, like, big money snakes. Like, black-headed pythons. I really like the yellowtail or blacktail crebos. Yeah, that's all that's coming to me right now, would be those two. Those are, like, my two, like, bucket list snakes. Other than that, I mean, it's not that I don't like snakes, because I really think they're cool and I really do like them. It's just, with the space I have, and with the way my parents have, like, trained me, if you will, I would honestly rather have more tortoises, or more lizards, or, you know, like, I'd like to expand that way first, and I might have a snake, you know? I don't know. That's just me. So the next question comes from Scales Reptiles. And he asks, are you ever going to get some aquatic turtles? I get this question actually way more often than I thought I would. But no, I deal with them at work. We have some at work. We have several at work. And I think they're really cool and really inquisitive. But honestly, I would have to do something like Camp Kennan, where he has like giant ponds and like he takes, like, he has several in there. I think that's really the only way I could do it, would be something like that. Like, I wouldn't keep them as a pet in a glass tank. That's just not how I'd do it. So no. Unless I move way down south and live there for the rest of my life, then I probably won't have aquatic turtles. The next question comes from Anders Johnson. Do you ever feel that the reptile room is getting a bit crowded? Honestly, yes, I do. But with my mentality, I always try and fill it more full. That's just, like, something to do with my nature. I don't know why I do that, but, like, I just wish I had more space. Like, behind you guys, there's a whole room filled with all my dad's stuff. And I'm limited to this right here. I know there's a critical mass to where, hey, look, like, I go to school, I work a job, I have a girlfriend, I run a YouTube channel. I have so much going on my plate that I can't handle, like, hundreds of animals like some of my friends have. But I feel like I could probably handle more than, whatever, like 12 that I have. And I mean, I know that to those of you, even to myself, like, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, however long ago I started this YouTube channel, I think it was 6 years coming this August, I had one, maybe two. And just the way I've grown since then, like, maybe you guys haven't seen, and I know I have a lot of new subscribers, but go check those videos out. Like, I had dwarf geckos, the Lygodactylus lineum size. I had pygmy chameleons. I had a second leopard gecko. I had so many other things. And just seeing me slowly get bigger and bigger, and then moving down here, which is a bigger room, and filling this space. I know I would fill a larger space, and there are a couple things that I really, really want, like a female super translucent female veiled, a female Jackson's chameleon. There's a couple other things that I could list off, but still, with me saying that, like, there's not a hell of a lot that I can fit in this room, other than behind me on the rack, and that's going to be full sometime soon. The next question comes from Daisy Dragon Forest, and she asks, what is your first reptile? My first reptile is Striker, the high yellow leopard gecko. My birth mom actually got him for me, and he's still kicking today. He's still doing really well. So my birth mom got him for me when I was 8 or 9, I can't remember, and he's doing really well. So I'm super, super stoked that I got him. He's been an amazing learning curve. He was my best friend for several years, and he's doing really well. So I'm glad to see him thriving. So the next question comes from Cameron Ferris. He asks, what happened to your blue day gecko? And funny, I was just talking about that. But so what happened to them was I sold them. I sold them to my buddy. He lives up in Edmonton. He is still breeding them. They are still doing well. In fact, I think I'm going to contact him, like, right now, and see if he can send me a couple pictures or a short, like, iPhone video or something, and maybe you guys can see them. So they're doing well. They're breeding up a storm, and the reason why I got rid of them was just so I could have a little bit more space for other things. Honestly, now, and me being so into, like, vivariums and things, I really, really, really want some dwarf day geckos back. There is some for sale, but I really just don't have anywhere to put them. So yeah, I really do miss them, and I think they were awesome pets, and they're kind of like the first thing that I ever bred. And at the time, I was one of the most successful breeders in Western Canada. 12 of 13 babies live, or somewhere around there. And typical success rate around here, like from where I'm from, is like, oh yeah, I had 3 of 14 live. Oh, I had 1 of 10. Oh, I had like, it's like, dude, like, it's not that hard. And I was like 15 years old at the time breeding them, so it's pretty interesting. The next question is from Mick Chivers. Mike Chivers? Mike Shivers. I don't know. Can I put 3 veiled chameleons, 10 green anoles, and a pair of emerald swifts in a 120-gallon vivarium? The next question comes from Jordan Johnson. Will you ever get a tegu? I really want one. The likelihood of me getting one anytime soon is very, very slim. They're awesome animals. I think they would be an amazing addition to the room. I don't have anywhere to put them though, so that's kind of an issue. But no, I would. I really like tegus. They're really cool. And the next question comes from Bree Gecko Love. Have you ever thought about owning a Leachianus gecko? If not, why? And what are your views on the animal? My views on the Leachianus geckos are they are badass. I would love to own one. I just, they're not really my thing. I actually had considered getting one. Like, before I got Tig, I was like, well, maybe I should just get a Leechy. But honestly, I think they're awesome animals, and if you like them, by all means, go for it. I just don't think, me personally, I will own one. Alright, the next question comes from Ben Battle. He says, how often do you need to clean out a crested gecko? Love your channel, by the way. Thumbs up. And thumbs up to you, buddy. How often do you need to clean out a crested gecko tank? When it gets dirty, I don't know. If you're spot cleaning, not that often. I know I typically do mine every 4 to 6 months. I'm actually going to be redoing Tigs here right away. That's all. You could also just make it a vivarium and then never have to clean it out. The next question comes from Luke Peach. Has Tig ever become gravid and laid eggs even though she's not been bred with another male, I assume? I think she has, because she does get really chunky right by that like abdomen end where the eggs form. So I think she has done it. Never have I found eggs in there. And obviously there's no geckos in there because they're not parthenogenic and they can't produce geckos without being mated. So I think it's happened. There's nothing confirmed as to whether it's happened. AceDog00 asks, I bought 2 chameleons and whenever I walk by, they hide. Why is that? Because they're shy. Even, like, not currently, but every now and then, like, Kai will just straight just disappear. And that's because, I don't know, he's scared or just doesn't want to be seen or whatever. Typically, they're just adjusting to their new surroundings, and that's just what they do. I wouldn't worry too much about it. They will eventually become more accustomed to you, and the more traffic you have walking by, in a way, it's bad, and on the flip side, it's good. In a way that it's bad, it causes them stress, and that's not good for chameleons, or anything, really. And on the flip side, it gets them used to people walking around, moving, your face, your actions, whatever you're doing around in your room. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Give them a couple weeks and hopefully they'll settle down a little bit. Just spend time with them, sit in front of them, listen to music, watch YouTube. Hey, heck, sit down in front of your computer or laptop or iPad or whatever the hell you have and watch my videos. Just sitting there with your arm either in the cage or just by the cage with the door open. Just get the chameleons used to you being there. Skylar's Books asks, are you planning on getting another skink sometime? Yes and no. I think it would be awesome to breed blue-tongue skinks. The only problem is they really aren't that hot of a commodity in Canada. Honestly, like, me personally, I'm just like Brian Barczyk, and my belief in them is kind of seeded through his actions, but I really do think they're going to be the next best thing. Like, maybe not on the level of ball pythons and bearded dragons, but I'm really hoping they get up to, like, beardy leopard gecko, like, beginner lizards, because they are really easy, they are super friendly, they do eat a variety of foods, and what's not to love about them? They have a blue tongue! They have a blue tongue! That alone is cool enough to get so many people interested in them. I think they'd be really fun to breed, and they do have live young, so you don't have to wait for eggs. I mean, you'd have to wait for, like, incubation, internal incubation. I think they're awesome, and I really hope they catch up in popularity. At that time, who knows, maybe I will breed them, because they are super fun, and I think walking into your room and seeing, like, 4 to 12 babies would be nothing shy of a miracle. I think that would be so cool. Would I be getting it in the near future? Probably not, but in 10 years? Who knows? Zymo Woo? Don't ask me, I'm sorry. Why don't you have as much desert reptiles as tropical? Honestly, I haven't really thought about it. I just like what I like. I don't like, alright, so I'm on a tropical now, so now I gotta get a tropical one. And the next one has to be desert. That's not how it goes. It's just, damn, that's awesome. Getting it. The The next question comes from Johnny Newton. Can you put two crested geckos in the same tank? Technically, yes. You don't want to have a male and female in the same tank all the same time. Like all the time, you want to separate them, but you can have two females in there. Just note that they're still animals. They still have teeth. They still have mouths, and they very well could bite each other, rip toes off, rip tails off, that kind of thing. So just be careful. Honestly, if you don't have to do it, don't do it. That's my advice. Or if you aren't very experienced and you haven't done it before, don't try it for your first. Don't get one and then like, man, they can stay together. I'm getting a second one. Don't do that. Do not do that. David Vasquez 2 says, I'm planning on chameleons. Do you have any tips or pointers? Love your videos. Keep up with the constant flow of vids. Honestly, my tips for chameleon keeping, go check out Bill Strand with the Chameleon Breeder podcast and his cages, Dragon Strand Cage Company. I'm not sponsored by any means. Man, would I love to be sponsored by them. I'm not sponsored though. They are just fantastic podcasts and do such a good job at explaining everything from feeding to misting to different species to shipping. They just did was their newest one, Reptile, a podcast all about how to ship your reptiles. Yeah, that's what I do. I just go out there and get as much information as you possibly can, absorb it, understand it, and apply it. Honestly, that's what you need to do. Righteous Reptiles asks, would you ever want to do aquaponics with reptiles or fish in the pond section? Reptiles, no, because I don't want to. Fish, I've not really like considered it. I know I have like looked it up and I know what aquaponics are. I don't think I'd really set up a bed anytime soon. Maybe when I have my own house and my own space, I might do something like that, but not anytime soon. Next up is Elena Brayfield, and she asks, what is the best way to get your veiled chameleon comfortable with you holding them? I do have a video. I'm not going to link it because chances are I won't remember that it's this far into the video, but I just searched the channel how to handle your chameleon or handling a chameleon, and it should pull up a video from last May Madness where I talk about it. And what it boils down to is time and effort. However much time you put into it is the result you're going to get out of it. It's the same with so many things in life. Put as much time as you can. Like I said earlier, get him comfortable you being present and watch videos with the cage open. Have your hand in there. Hand feed him. Be around frequently and he'll warm up. It's just a matter of time, honestly. And the effort goes into like the feeding and sitting and watching videos or doing whatever you do in front of him and being present and getting him not afraid of you. Once that happens, you can slowly work in like touching him or trying to pick him up. But just keep in mind with reptiles, they're very much like maybe not chameleons so much, but a lot of reptiles are like a one incident and you have to restart. Especially with monitors and some of the more intelligent reptiles, it's if you mess up, you gotta start from square one. So take it with that mentality and just apply it. Don't force things. Don't make it very uncomfortable. Recognize the signs of stress and know what kind of stress you're doing, whether it's long-term, temporary, or just like a momentary stress. Dylan Bacigalupo. I have a bearded dragon and it has been getting slow and now he cannot move a lot. I think it's parasites. What do I do? Okay, so what you're going to do is go to the vet. Simple. If they have parasites, that's what you're going to do. If it's just getting slow, not moving, not eating that much, it could just very well be brumation. If it's kind of cold in your area, then it's probably just slowing down for the wintertime, and I wouldn't worry about it. If it is warming up and it's not eating or moving, then you're going to want to go and get it checked out by a vet. That's simple. Archie Gaming asks, what is your favorite reptile you have now? I think you guys might know. It's probably either Bowser or Sheldon. Bowser's just so hyperactive and comes and hangs out so much that I just deal with him pretty much the most besides Sheldon. And he's very interactive and comes out all the time. So That's why I like Bowser so much, and he's just a chill lizard. And Sheldon's awesome because, like, just go back into the May Madness video where I'm redoing his cage, and he's running up the little sand, the little, like, soil beds. I make, like, pyramids of soil, and he runs up and, like, topples over. It's just so cute. He's a little bit of a pain, meaning like he likes to chase you. He likes to bite feet if he's on the ground. He will literally storm across the ground to your feet and just latch onto it. I don't know why, but I think those are my two like top contenders. Honestly, I don't like to pick favorites, and I know that's kind of a cliche answer, which is why I actually answered it for you guys. But there you go.